States in the nonprofit sector by the Nonprofit Times. That's pretty good when you're of that quality. And I quote the Nonprofit Times, "Gene leads the nation's first school of philanthropy, and there wouldn't be one without his decades of dedication to the concept of learning about giving." It's my honor to introduce Gene Temple.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, here's your little, you got the little clicker.
I only have 2 slides, so this will be pretty simple. But I thought there were a couple of things I wanted to share with you. Good morning.
Good morning.
It's great to be with you this morning, and it's great to have people who I work with in the IU Foundation, Kristen and Jim, and great to be here with Tina, who's I think one of the best community foundation leaders here in the state of Indiana. People I work with like Pam Davidson, who's going to be on the program, and I know Tim Sider is coming next on the 14th. So I know you're going to get a good introduction to planned giving, but I thought I would start out in a different place this morning. But before I begin, let me first of all congratulate all of you who are students in SPIA here. I mean, I think 3 of you said you were students in the program, right? Or 4? 3 or 4? 3. We helped start that program in SPIA down here as well, and Kirsten Gronberg actually holds one of our endowed chairs in the Lilly Family School of Philanthropy and works here on the Bloomington campus. So it's, we're dedicated to this notion that we ought to understand more about these things, and understanding more about motivations, more about how people function, more about organizational effectiveness. Those things will all be beneficial. And let me say also that I'm a big fan of the Community Foundation. Community foundations are my favorite type of organization because they accomplish so much in terms of bringing communities together, in terms of building community capital, but also in terms of serving the nonprofit sector in communities when the sector when those organizations can't always serve themselves. And Pam, I don't know if you were involved with us in the project that Kresge funded in Detroit. That I've forgotten what it was called now. But this is an incredible program where the Kresge Foundation put forward $50 million in matching funds, so organizations like yours, could raise endowment funds for the Community Foundation in Detroit and receive a match from the Kresge Foundation to go into your restricted endowment fund in the Community Foundation. And it's not just because higher education is more sophisticated than a lot of other nonprofit organizations in doing this, but it's also because this is where donors will put their money, because higher education institutions survived the dark ages. Think about it. They've been around forever. They've been around. The first higher education institution in the Western Hemisphere was the University of Bologna in 1060. And so it's been here a long time. And while somebody might not give your organization a $5 million endowment, they might in fact give it to the Community Foundation, because the Community Foundation is going to be here forever as well. And when you pull that money in with other monies that the Community Foundation holds, even if it's restricted to your program, donors have confidence that it's going to be managed well, and that the money will be there forever for your organization. And if your organization should go out of existence, there's always the possibility then that the Community Foundation can use it for a similar cause. And so the donors don't risk giving the money to you and not knowing whether you're going to be here 5 years from now. And it's particularly true for organizations that deal with social issues, social problems in communities, small arts organizations, those kinds of things. So, it's a commercial for the Community Foundation, but it is in fact one of my favorite kinds of institutions. I like community foundations. I've worked in higher education all my life, but I like community foundations. So then on to this. What am I going to do here in the time that Jim's allotted me before he gives the cutoff sign? I'm going to talk to you about the pre-information about planned gifts. People are going to talk to you about all the technical aspects of planned gifts. They're going to talk to you about it from various ways in which planned gifts get done. But I'm going to start prior to the planned gift. Because I think it's important for all of us to understand that donors act out of their own kind of milieu, out of their own environment, out of their own value system. And when somebody makes a planned gift, it's not because somebody tricked them into it with a whole bunch of technical language that they couldn't understand and that they'll regret 5 years from now. It's because they felt there was a way in which to do something that reflected their own values, their own personal systems. It's just the soft side of planned giving. It's the precursor to what other people are going to talk to you about in terms of how you help people structure those kinds of things. And so on the back side of this is some research that's being done now by a woman named Sarah Conrath, who we recruited to our faculty. You can find her articles listed on her Vita as well. You can find all these things published publicly. And other people are showing this as well, that giving and volunteering, I'm going to say this very distinctly, giving and volunteering have a beneficial effect on the giver and the volunteer. Okay? So, I mean, including what Sarah does, Sarah actually draws blood and she measures heart rates and all these kind of things after people volunteer. So, you know, she can show that there's actually a physiological effect from people's thinking altruistically, from people helping others. And that's one of the things that happens when people do these big planned gifts. When they're very thoughtful about helping somebody else out of their own value system, when they make a gift that's meaningful to them, it will in fact have a beneficial effect on them. You know, Herman Wells, we were just mentioning Herman Wells, Pam and I, he used to say that if you made a planned gift to Indiana University, you would never die. And there's some truth to that. Because when you think altruistically, when you make these big gifts, in fact, it has an impact on you, a very positive impact on you. And so those of us who work in this arena, talking to donors about making gifts, need to realize that we're not taking something away from somebody. We are, in fact, adding something to their life. And that's the way in which we need to do this work. We need to think about it in this way and ask ourselves, how can I add something to the life of the person sitting across the table from me so that it's a very positive experience for that person? Now, you know, say, well, it's just like, you know, this is the soft side of giving, but it's a very important aspect of giving, and we're showing that there is, in fact, a physiological, scientific basis to it as well. Okay, so here's a couple of things I want to talk to you about, and then I'm going to get it started. I'm going to make you go to work, think deeply about something. So I brought just 2 slides this morning and then some worksheets for us to work on. This is from the high net worth household study that's conducted at the Lilly Family School of Philanthropy. And these are high net worth households. These are not the general donors, but these are people in the top 5 percentile of people with wealth and income in the United States. So when you ask them why they're making gift, what motivated them, they will say that they believe their gift can make a difference. Now, this has changed from time to time. Over time, this thing has crept up to the top. So how do you show people that their gift will actually make a difference? I always say that philanthropy is stimulated by a vision for the future that improves on the present. And so that is in fact what they're talking about here. My gift needs to make a difference. What is it that we will do with your gift, and how will that improve some problem, some issue that I care about deeply? Because look at the next thing. 73.1%, nearly equal to the first one, for personal satisfaction. Because I want to feel good about what I'm doing. I want to feel better about myself. You know, so there it is, right up at the top. Even the donors are expressing that they want to feel better about themselves. And I don't know, Jim, maybe you can email this around to the group afterwards. You know, I didn't bring any copies of it. So then there's this whole list. and notice that to receive a tax benefit is closer to the bottom.